And we're now on Facebook. Again, if you were watching before, we're sorry, we went off and we've come back again. But this is our normal Tuesday session at the Sacred Relationship Lab with Stacy and myself, Joe. And we are here to answer all your relationship questions. Oh, fuck it.
Yeah, drop them in. You'd
I was
like
going to
to
tell,
bring to
fuck
the
it,
table?
I thought we'd frozen again. Let's try. Okay, you're still there. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, let's do this question again. Let's see if we can answer it. Maybe the narcissists do not want us to answer the questions today. They don't want the tips out there. Let's go for it. Right, let me read it again. How to effectively co-parent with a narcissist. How do I do that? When you prefer to have nothing to do with them, but you have to for your child's benefit, particularly when the said narcissist gets angry and lashes out when I try to reinforce boundaries.
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? So, um, the main thing that I see is boundaries are non-negotiable and boundaries have consequences. And when we've allowed our boundaries to be, when we haven't enforced our boundaries throughout life, and particularly in a past relationship where that person's got away with it so many times, they're going to throw a temper tantrum like a child, and and then there's a slowly an erosion of the boundary, and then we feel like we feel angry, we feel let down, we don't want to show up. First things first is strong boundaries, strong consequences, and step out the minute you're being disrespected, no matter what. Yes, it is about your child, but if you respect and honor yourself in this situation, that means you're showing up for your child in that same energy, and eventually it'll go back to him to have to look at himself, right? So that's probably the best piece of advice I can give you, is that initially it's like a kid throwing a tantrum. Like, you say no and they're gonna bring the arsenal of attacks on you, and and hang the phone up, get in the car, drive away, whatever you need to do until that person realizes that you're no longer going to take their shit. And if they want to communicate with you, they're going to have to communicate with you with an adult and perhaps do some work on themselves to do that. But one of the things I see in split co-parenting relationships is the dynamics keep playing out. You just don't live in the same house any longer. And it takes great courage to, especially when we've been taught to put our children before ourselves. That's the conditioning in the world, right? To put our children before our own needs, before our own safety, before our own respect. And I always say, what you're giving to yourself is what you're actually giving to your children. And if that means you need to get in the car and drive away with your child in the car because he's lost his shit or he's abusing on your phone, just hang up and don't even justify it. And when he comes back to you, when he's calmed down, just say, I'm no longer available for this shit anymore. If you want to communicate like an adult, I will. If you're not, I want nothing to do with you, and I will walk away. And that's probably the best piece of advice I can give to you in the situation.
Yeah. And it's all sound advice. Boundaries are so important. Our boundaries are so important no matter who we're in a relationship with. And I know this is an ex-partner of yours now, but there is a relationship there, and there will be now. I mean, it gets less and less as your child gets older. The need to be in that other person's life becomes less and less. But I think it's having just an acceptance as well, because, I know you'd rather not have to deal with it, but you have to. And that's if that's where you are, if that's where you want, you're doing it for the sake of your child and you're keeping the communications open. Learning to embody that with acceptance is going to help you to move forward as well, with very, very, very firm boundaries, as Stacy said. As soon as they are crossed, remove yourself from the situation. And know that temper tantrums, you never could control them while you were together. You're never going to be able to control them while you're apart. And you've moved on. They don't know you anymore because you've probably continued with your evolution. They have stayed the same. And we can all, I heard a beautiful saying once that said, don't ever let hope get in the way of experience. You can hope that they will change. In fact, it was a narcissist that said it to me, funnily enough. They didn't listen, but You can hope that things will be different. And of course, we always have a hope when you've got a beautiful heart and you're a beautiful soul, because we do see that there's a possibility for everybody. But you've got the experience to tell you how things are going to go. So don't let the hope get in the way of that experience, because you will forever be let down and it will destroy a part of your soul. So if you can just have an open acceptance for how things are with very firm boundaries, because remember, you are your child's role model. And as Stacy says, how you treat yourself is the most important thing. Your child is not the most important. You are. It's always one, then two, then three. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. So make yourself a priority. Keep your energy intact. Only maybe have contact with the narcissist when your energy is okay to do that. And if you have to say no to your child, I can't do that today, that's okay. That's okay, because that's your boundary for you. That's your self-preservation. So only deal with the narcissist when you are feeling strong enough to do it. And don't get embroiled in their games, because they are very, very, very clever. They will come for manipulation from all directions. So if you can try to just remove yourself from any game, don't get embroiled, because they're very good at doing that. So always preserve your own energy.
Yeah, that's probably the best advice we can give on that. I know that for me, that would be the thing. And it is, boundaries need consequences. That's how we enforce boundaries, like where there's a consequence for your action. So, and it's not being, it's just honoring yourself and stepping out, hang the phone up, get in the car, drive away, let them throw their shit. And eventually they'll have to realize that you're no longer available for it. And then they're going to have to be an adult about the situation.
And then do something nice for yourself after you've had any contact with them. You might want to do like a clearing where you clear the energy, or do something that uplifts your soul, because narcissists are very good at like kind of almost clinging on, literally like a Klingon in the horror movies. They're very good at putting their energy onto others, especially beautiful people. They're the ones that they prey after. So clear your energy after you've had any kind of communication, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, because that will help you stay in your high vibration as well.
And a real powerful tool you can do is step out of the emotional attachment to it. Almost pull yourself out as the third person. And that's another way to, like Joanne said, to disconnect from the energy, because now they're no longer triggering because our nervous system and our body living in that experience has triggers, and we're often on guard. So when we're on guard, we're almost attracting it. But just start to notice how you're feeling going into the situation and what shows up when you're feeling like that, because it's usually a mirror of maybe a little bit of an internal shift that you need to let go of at a deeper level that you may not have realized yet. But just notice, if I go in here light, free, and open, there's nothing to attack and nothing to defend. So just look a little deeper, but to protect and honor yourself and your energy and your child is, just the boundaries. Lock those in and just do not fold once, and eventually they'll learn the lesson.
Oh, good luck with that, because I know co-parenting, or parenting even, when we think about it, Stacey, parenting in itself is hard to actually both agree on something, and to parent together is it's a task that both people have got to come to the table of. And then to co-parent when you're not even together, and you're like, well, and then to add another layer of being a narcissist, it's a lot. So, always give yourself lots of love and appreciation. Bump yourself up.
Yeah, you're so right. Like there's no, I was just sharing this with a friend the other day. We go to school and learn all this shit, and we don't learn how to be in relationship. We don't learn how to communicate with our partner. We don't learn about the masculine and feminine, for men how to relate to women how to relate to men, how to parent together. What are our values? What are our shared vision for our relationship and our relationship as parents? And this is where it comes back to communication, right? And this is why I'm big on men leading, because if a man leads and he sits down and he says, hey, let's get on the same page as parents. These are my values of what I believe we should parent. What are yours? What's our vision for the way we want to parent? And you come together And in that space, especially for the woman, they're like, man, he's got my back. I know where we're going. I know what the vision is. I know what our non-negotiables is, and I know he'll back me on that. And same for the man. He's like opened up and he shared with the woman, but he's led. So even if you're in a relationship and you've been in it for a while, do this. Sit down and write what your values are in the relationship. What are your top 5 or top 6 values in the relationship? What are your top 5 or 6 values in your parenting? All right. And then once you start to define it, you can get a vision. And when you can get a compelling vision, you can create it, you can manifest it, you can be in charge of it.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful because I think people struggle to put in rules and boundaries, especially parents nowadays. I watch it happen time and time again. They're trying to be their child's friend rather than their parent.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what the end result is and why you're doing something, it's very difficult to put those boundaries in place. But if you know you have your value, it might be, say, love and honesty, integrity, openness, closeness, whatever it is, you know, and if you know that's what you want for your family, then you're happy to put those boundaries in place to get there, because it's a journey. Things don't just land in your lap. You don't just all of a sudden look around and you're all in, like, you know, all skipping across the meadow and singing together. It doesn't work like that. We make our environment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a beautiful thing to do, Stacey. I love that. And I'm all about values, because if we don't live by our values, then what are we doing?
And these can change too, like the chapters of life. You know, when your kids are 0 to 5, your values or your parenting vision might be different from when they're 13 to 16, right? And this is where it comes down to, like, wow, okay, we need to evolve this, we need to grow this. This is why it's called evolution. Most people just get in a relationship and it's dying slowly because they don't know where they're going. And so many men can't lead the relationship now. So, you know, sit down, lead it, like sit down and communicate, open up, because that builds trust. You know, for the men out there, that builds trust with your woman, that fuck, he's willing to sit down and talk about this shit. You know, this is true vulnerability for men. It's not sitting down and bringing all of your shit to your woman for her to contain it for you and hold space. Take that to your fucking coach or other men. It's true vulnerability for a man is coming in the environment that he doesn't feel so comfortable, but leading in that environment and showing that he's trustworthy. And do that, man, and watch your life change.
Yeah, I love that, because as we've talked about this before, all the women I know are fiercely independent, and they're the ones leading, and they're like, we're not supposed to do that. It's exhausting. Of course, it's like it's the how do we cohabit? How do we come together and collaborate? But that's how we collaborate from the most beautiful way. If we can be led and if we can do it together, it's so special.
Yeah, that's right.
Juicy.
Mm.
All right, give us your question.
Yeah, so I got a question from a man, and it was, how do I create more intimacy in my relationship? I feel like the sex has become mechanical, and I want a deeper connection.
Well, he should watch our last 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Yeah.
But we'll answer it again, because this is a hot topic. Try new things. Try new things for starters. I was reading something about this the other day. You know, our sex is like this. Well, I heard all these people giving answers. You know, have you tried the Kama Sutra? Have you tried doing X, Y, Z? Have you tried using toys? Have you tried going to the sex shop? Have you tried doing it outdoors or in a different room? You know, spice it up. That's how we stop it being so mechanical. And talk about it with each other. Find out what it is that actually floats your boat.
Yeah.
Both of you. Because if we don't come together and talk about that, and if it's taboo, well then, how can you give each other what you want anyway? You know, and sometimes, you know, I think men think women want all like rose petals on a rug in front of a fire. And don't get me wrong, that's great. But we don't want it like that all the time. You know, sometimes you want it fast and furious. Sometimes you want it slow. It's like, get to know each other on a different level. Find out what you want as well. And you know, don't be afraid of sharing your fantasies, because that's why they are called fantasies. Your fantasy never has to be real. Nobody has to be jealous of anybody else's fantasy, because when you're in the heat of the moment, you can have these crazy thoughts. And when you're not in the heat of the moment, you go, ooh, I would never do that. Blech. But when you're in the heat of the moment, strangest things just come into your head. Talk about it. Speak. Communicate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, you know, we've talked about this. That's the sex side of it. That's the actual doing it side of it. But also make sure you're both okay with each other and that you can be intimate in other areas, because intimacy starts with trust and trust of each other's emotions. So is your partner safe to say how they feel without you trying to rescue them, without you saying, oh, you shouldn't feel like that, or the sun will come out tomorrow? And, you know, all of these things are really nice. The sun will come out tomorrow. But sometimes, are you listening to her? Are you listening to her? Are you able just to listen to every word and shut your mouth? Because that creates intimacy, when she knows that she can come to you and tell you anything. Do you tell her things? Do you know, it's like, can you both trust each other outside of the bedroom? Because if you don't have the trust outside of the bedroom, how can you possibly take that into the bedroom or into the field or into the bathroom? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's beautiful, Joanne. Even if we think about the word intimacy, it's like into me you see, right? Into me you see, right? So for the men out there, it's what you're not doing in the bedroom that leads to intimacy, connection, and mind-blowing sex in the bedroom, right? So like Joanne said, can you hold space? Are you doing the work to actually shift your emotional state from the energies of guilt, shame, fear, anger, humiliation, resentment, which I'm telling you now, I work with men every single day. 99% of men listening to this call, their unconscious frequency will be that. Right? I always say the feminine is the liberator or the trap, because through sexual experience and encounter, her nervous system is going to absorb your frequency and mirror it back for you to see. Most men want to attack or shut down because they don't want to see, they don't want to look in the mirror. Right? So now they're blaming, attacking her because she's not showing up, she's not giving she's dying because you're dying. And so, first of all, do some fucking inner work, man. Right? I'm not even gonna fuck around with it anymore. Just do it. Right? Find out why life's going the way it is so that you can, and then make an effort. Lead the relationship, make an effort. Don't ask her, oh, what would you like to do tonight? What would you like to eat tonight? Oh, I don't know. What movie do you want to watch? Fucking just say, hey, babe, we're going here. I've booked the date. I'll see you at 6. And take the choices off the table for her. All right? Take the decisions off the table that she's like, holy shit, we're going here. This is how. And if you haven't done that for a while in your relationship, you'll be afraid to do it because you'll be afraid you'll be rejected. That's why men stop doing it. Right? But give it a go. But don't do it from fear, because the minute you do it, you'll be like, oh shit, what if she this, or what if she doesn't want to go? What if she's tired? So you'll manifest your fear. You gotta own it. Like, you've got to own it. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. I don't care how tired you are. I don't care what day you've had. Get a pretty dress on and I'll see you at 6. And then own the date. Like, own it. Look in her eyes. Listen to her. Don't speak. Hear her. Listen to her. Let her talk. And just don't try to fix, and just connect with her. Flirt with her when you're out, when you're beside her. Pull her close, not sexually. Just pull her close. Kiss her on the neck, on the shoulder. And then just watch the fucking fireworks that can unfold for you as a man. But as men, we want to, and women want to slow. But like Joanne said, that's not all the time, right? But you'll know when she's ready to fucking break the bed and blow the fucking roof off the house, right? But you've got to see her. You have to see her through the eyes of love, not fear. And that's how you create intimacy in a relationship. And most men have never experienced true intimacy in the bedroom. And when you're not trying to get anywhere or prove anything in the bedroom too, right? Before you even go there, just pull her close and breathe. Build anticipation. Like, build anticipation and watch the magic happen, right? And that's probably the best piece of advice I can give to the men out there.
Yeah, because like, you know, I know, like, I've been in relationships in the past as well. And there'll be no like kissing, you know, like And I love it. Like, I think we're tactile humans. Like, how often do you just grab your woman and snog her when you're in the kitchen or something, but without wanting sex? Do you know what I mean? And I think I've seen in a lot of relationships in my time and watched people and how they behave, a lot of them stop that intimacy, that kind of affection, because they're so frightened it's going to lead to sex all the time. And I don't mean frightened is the wrong word, but they don't always want it to lead to sex. They want it. Women want that much more. And actually, I think men do as well. But if they've been programmed to, like, oh, this is first base, this is second base, this is third base. No, there's no bases, just bloody kiss, touch, rub each other's backs or whatever it is. Find out what each other's love language is as well, and make sure you're speaking each other's love language. It's so important. But when you were talking, Stacey, I was thinking, like, oh, just go and just decide where you're going tonight, decide what movie you're watching, decide where you're going. I think a lot of men are frightened to do that because we have been in such a negative masculine space over however many thousand years, where we've been led by greed, control, corruption. And I think men don't know how to be in control without it seeming, kind of misogynistic.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think there's this deep fear that men almost have gone to kind of the other way, and they're too frightened, and then the women are actually behaving like that. They're deciding where we're going for dinner, they're deciding what movies we're making. And I said to my partner last night, we were going, should we go there to eat or should we go there to eat? And I said, you decide. He went, why do I always have to decide? I said, do you know how many decisions I make? I said, you can decide. Anyway, we were having a laugh about it because he's really good about stuff that and that's why we can laugh about it, because it's not always that way. But I do feel for men at the minute. I feel like they don't know how to show up and how to be a man. And that's why I say, I hear what you're saying, Stacey. Do the freaking work. Because you can say to your woman, right, put on your dress. We're going out tonight. Don't care what day you were doing it. And it seems really beautiful. But if you were doing that all the time, it would probably seem like, if you wouldn't let her order her own food, if you're not going to let her do this, it's misogynistic. But there's a difference. When we do something from a place of pure love and just wanting to give and provide and protect and have a beautiful evening, that's a totally different energy than controlling your woman.
Yeah.
Different. And we want to be protected and nurtured and loved, and we want you to take control sometimes without the control.
Yeah. The language between the masculine and feminine is, from the masculine side is you're mine, and from the feminine side is I'm yours, right? So this is the dance that we're playing in, right? And the attack on masculinity has already been one. I share this all the time. Men are so afraid to stand for something and to lead, because the attacks that can come on social media and in the world is out the gate. And like Joanne said, it's not just like every date night you're doing this.
Yeah.
But it's knowing the dance, right? Women love to be loved, but they also love a bit of fuck you energy, right? Like, nah, fuck. I'm busy right now. I've got work, boundaries. Like, it's a dance, a push and a pull. It's a dance, and we've never been taught this, right? But the other thing is listen. Like, listen. You'll hear her say, "Fuck, I'd love to go to that concert," or "I heard so and so restaurant was fucking amazing." Like, just listen and put a note in your phone, and then when it feels right, just surprise her and say, "Hey, I got tickets to this concert," or "Fuck, I got us a booking at this restaurant and it's this time," and just watch the dance, right? But yeah, you've got to stand for something as a man.
Mm-hmm.
And the feminine will always unconsciously test you, because she's checking, am I still safe? Most men see it as, she's attacking me, so I'm going to shut down or attack her more, right? And this is why I say you've got to do the inner work, because we were never taught how to be men. Like I was watching 300 the other day, the Spartan movie.
Mm-hmm.
And at 7 years old, you see the young boy ripped away from his mother and he's sent to the Agoge, and he returns to his people, a Spartan, a king, at 16 years old. That's what I'm speaking to. That was his separation from mum and his initiation into becoming a man. And if you watch that opening scene when he walks back in after slaying that wolf, this is what healing is for the modern day man, is fucking letting go of all that unconscious psychological connection to your mother and looking for it in your partner, and then coming back a king of your own kingdom. And a king isn't afraid of losing his woman, right? And when you're not afraid of losing your woman, right, you're no longer afraid of actually showing up in your true power and leading the relationship. And that doesn't mean I don't listen to her. I don't honor the date nights that she'd want, or if she brings something to the table. It's about knowing when to be in that power, and it's also knowing when I can step back. And yeah, that's how you create intimacy.
Yeah, I agree. And you always talk so beautifully about men showing up in their masculine, being men, but the opposite is the same for women. Women do not know how to be women anymore. There's more of them learning, and and there's been the rise of the divine feminine. I heard it for so long in my head, it was going around, I had no idea what it meant. And then I see women left and right doing their inner work, connecting with their femininity, but often that connecting with the femininity is the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle for them. They go and do some healing work, but they're still operating like a go, 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 busy, busy, busy 3D world. But when we connect into our inner femininity and we awaken that inner goddess, we can allow our men to step up as well. Because are you allowing your man to step up? And I know this isn't the question that was asked, but it's continuation of what we've just been talking about. Because there's a lot of women out there who are not allowing their men to step up because they are so gripping on to control, because they do not trust. I have to do everything myself. He's never going to step up. And these are often subconscious thought patterns, and maybe he has let you down in the past, or maybe you've seen your father let your mother down, or whatever. And there has been a misogynistic world around us. It's time to get rid of all of that and to fully step in to that goddess energy, so he can be the warrior and have that dance between both of you. Because sometimes you need to be the warrior and he needs to be the goddess, and that's fine, but you've both got that energy inside of you. And when you learn how to dance between it in yourself, and then you dance between it with each other. So as Stacy says, he wants more sex and less mechanical stuff. Great. It's just as important she does the work it is for you to do the work, because you need to know how to step up, but she also needs to know how to step down. How to trust. And we do not trust our outside, what happens in our relationship, what happens in our life, what happens with the government. We don't trust anything if we do not have that trust inside. And that trust inside can be sow the seeds, and when they grow, it grows into the most beautiful thick tree with the deepest roots, and nobody can take that away from you. And that's magic. And then you allow yourself to be led, to be nurtured, and loved and covered in divine love.
And you won't be able to do that until you dissolve your childhood fucking wounding.
Oh my God, yes.
Because it all sounds good, and it all sounds romantic, and it all sounds like everything we want. But if you don't have it, you unconsciously don't want it, and you haven't done the work to have it. You haven't done the work to attract a man or a woman in, so it's not in alignment. So you've got to go in and deal with those father wounds and those mother wounds, and you've got to erode it. Because when a man comes back to his heart, masculinity is his natural state of being, right? And that's what you've got to do, men, and the woman out there. But if you want the fruits of a relationship that has that, you've got to do the work.
And we're going to keep saying, aren't we, Stacy? Do the work. Do the work.
No other way. I was reflecting on this morning after working with clients this morning, and I was just like, we've got it so backwards. We think we're going to change that external world without changing ourselves. Good luck.
No, and I loved your post that you wrote when you wrote, working with me will change your life. And I thought, you go, mate. You fucking own that, because it's true. It's not, the person come to us, be open, and we promise it will change your life. And how do we know? Because we do it every day. We walk the walk and talk the talk. I will never tell or offer something to somebody else, ask a question that I'm not prepared to ask of myself, ever. And I know you're the same, Stacey.
Yeah, that confidence comes from the journey I've been on.
Here.
Yeah, that was a good
And
one.
we're only so passionate about it because, again, it's like we talked about, when people are forever falling in love with somebody else's potential rather than the person that's in front of them. we know the potential out there for each and every person if they do this work, and it is available to everybody. It's available.
Everyone has it. We all have it. The question is, are you going to do the work to reveal it? And like Joanne said, are you going to step out of the illusionary fantasy of the potential of that person and not the facts? The potential of that relationship and not the facts, right? And I'm not saying go fucking blow up your marriage today and run to the next thing, but, you know, be honest with yourself. You know, I always say to my clients, you can lie to me, but don't lie to yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And we lie to ourselves until we see the truth and we go, whoa. And it's always a revelation worth having.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've got another question, but I haven't actually read it yet. So let me read it out. How do you manage that feeling of desperation and grabbing on tighter when you know it takes time to try to fix or change a situation or a relationship? In the past, the action motivated by desperate feelings has never worked. And when you're on the other side, what can you do as a partner or other person to support that person feeling desperate to feel better or more secure in themselves? How do you manage that feeling of desperation and grabbing on tighter when you know it takes time to try and fix or change a situation?
Yeah, it's beautiful. So I think you answered your own question there. Like, don't grab on so tight. You know, allow the trust. Like, we actually answer our own questions, but I get where you're coming from. So desperation is a reaction to something like I feel like I don't have in my life. But even deeper, something I don't have internally available to me, which is usually love, connection, whatever our values or needs are in a relationship, right? So a reactive space will feel very constrictive. It'll feel very tight. It'll feel very forced, right? That's the ego 100%. So you're already identifying it, which is really, really powerful because now you're realizing, oh, I'm coming from a desperation or a reactive space. When you come from that space, you're going to be met with the mirror of that in the relationship 100% of the time. Is okay, look what's underneath that. Why am I needing this so badly? Why am I needing this validation or this connection or sex or love or whatever it is underneath that? And give yourself the space to sit in that. Get a coach, find someone who can help you reveal where that's coming from if you can. But when you're coming from love, it'll be expansive and open. It'll feel natural. When you're coming from reaction or desperation, it'll feel constricted. So now you can identify between the ego and the soul, love and fear. And it's now just being able to see what's driving me in this desperation. And this is a question you can ask yourself before you go to bed at night around this. Just think about the situation where this is coming up the most. And as you go to bed tonight, just before you close your eyes, is just ask yourself, what don't I want to see here? What don't I want to see? And whatever we ask has to be revealed. The mind has to bring us an answer. It may come in a dream. You may wake up in the morning and go, fuck, that's why I'm doing this, right? Oh, shit. And then you'll go do it again today anyway, because it's a process of revelation and then allowing yourself to let that go to move into that more open expansiveness. But that's where we're the most vulnerable. Well, the way our ego perceives it is we're the most vulnerable when we can be hurt or let down or discarded. So it's just the dance of being able to see why you're doing it, sit in it sometimes, and then allow yourself to start to choose a different behavior. On the other side, I think you said, how can you support a partner in that or your opposite in that? I heard a really good one from Simon Sinek the other day, especially with men. You know, I just want someone to sit in the mud with me. You know, I don't want my friends coming in and trying to give me advice or fix it or solve it. I just want someone to sit in the mud. And this is something that's lost. It's often what you don't say. Right? So if you can see it in them and you know it how it feels in you, just allow them the space to share that with you. Just be with it. And know when they're asking for advice or they just want you to listen. And that's another sort of skill that you'll learn along the way. But just sit in the mud with them. Because even with my clients, I have WhatsApp set up for them to send a voice message and I come back to them when I can. 9 times out of 10, I'll come back in 2 or 3 hours because of work or whatever I've got on. I'll send them back and they go, oh, I already had the realization. All right. We've all got our own answers. We just need the space to be able to express them, not have them interfered with, and just have the mirror reflecting back that you're safe. You can trust yourself because I trust you because I'm just here holding space. And that's probably, where I'd go with it. And if you've got any further or you want deeper answers from me, then feel free to reach out again.
No, it's really beautiful. And yeah, just to add to that, I'd say, what are your values? What are your beliefs? And are you partnering with them? Like, I don't know what it is about me, but I've always trusted in love. I believe in love. I believe love always wins, right? So say if I have something's going on with one of my kids, and maybe I'm not feeling as close as I want. I've wanted is this majorly close family where they all get on and they go to each other, they're siblings. That's not necessarily happening at the minute. They're all at different stages in their life. They're all teenagers, they're all doing their own thing. Maybe they will come back together in a moment, and maybe they won't. But I've just always got to stay and believe and trust. Stay in the energy of what I truly believe. And every time I go off that and start to worry a tiny bit, as soon as a worry comes in, I come back to what I believe. So I invite you to see, what is it you believe? What do you truly believe about the situation or life or how life operates? And are you still sticking to that? Is that going to be the driving force and your grounding force while dealing with any relationship or situation? Because that's so important, because our soul knows what we believe. Our soul knows what our truth is. But it's when we partner with other things that it becomes desperate and needy and grabby, because we're far away from our soul. And don't get me wrong, relationships and situations can be tricky because those people are not us. They don't see or feel the world the way we feel it, and we so want them to. We have all these good thoughts and ideas, and mostly filled with such love, but we've got to allow others to be on their journey as well. So we've just got to stick to our journey, our path, and what we believe, and make sure we are partnering with that. Otherwise, we're far away from our soul.
That's beautiful. That's such deep wisdom. That's really it is. Like desperation is ego coming from fear and constriction, and love is expansive. It's open, right? So you'll know, oh, okay, I'm in the ego. I'm in my childhood programming now. You don't have to go deep into it all the time, but you'll just notice that, oh, what, and then feel what's triggering that. And then, oh, fuck, he looks at me a certain way, or she has a certain tone in her voice, and I feel that trigger, and then I'm trying to get it back. That's a child trying to get love back from mum or dad. And once you start to see through the lies of the ego and they dissolve, you're no longer triggered. You realize, shit, they didn't look at me anyway. That was just my narrative around it, that was my story, or they didn't actually have a tone. That's how they always speak, or So it's just the dance. This is what relationships are. They are our teacher. They are our teacher.
Yeah, every relationship, every situation, there's lessons, isn't there? And I think every single one of them is helping us connect deeper to our soul and for us to evolve. I was thinking, what is it to be human? Because I read this article the other week about this guy was spouting off about how he's sick of spiritual leaders talking about how we are a soul doing a human experience. And I think we do forget to be human sometimes. We are here to be human, to evolve, and that is to feel everything, even the discomfort when things aren't going right, and to see why we feel needy or grabby, and then evolve from that so we don't feel needy or grabby, or whatever the situation is. We're just here to evolve and to get to know ourselves on a deeper level and allow our soul to walk the path rather than our human necessarily.
Yeah, I'm so big on what that guy shared. Right? There's so much spiritual fuckery, I call it, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna manifest $1 million by thinking I'm gonna manifest $1 million, or the man of my dreams, or the woman of my dreams. And when you're working with, especially I work a lot with men, but women, get rational. If you don't know how you're going to reverse engineer to make $1 million, it's not just going to pop out of fucking thin air, right? This whole Just dream of it and you can have it. It's called co-creation for a reason. And yes, we are souls having a spiritual experience, but we're living in a 3D fucking world where we have to take aligned action with a plan that leads us to the outcome that we desire. So whatever it is, you're going to have to work for it. God's not just going to drop it in your lap. And if he does, you probably should fucking be wary, because it's probably going to come with one of the harshest lessons you've ever received. Think about all the people that win the lottery. Most of them end up fucking broke or worse off than when they won the millions and millions of dollars, because that was their lesson, right? Because money, people think money's going to give them freedom, but the minute they get the money, they're afraid of losing it. So the very thing that was the source of their freedom has now become the source of their fear, and they get rid of the money to prove the fact that they were never worthy of it, or they weren't safe. So you've still got to be rational in the spiritual world, and it's getting out of control because people are spiritually bypassing without realizing it, right? And so when I work with men, I'm rational, like guys will come to me and they'll say, I want to make money. I know the figure, how much? $1 million. Okay. How are you going to make it? Oh, I'm just going to manifest it. No, but how are you going to make it? What's the sums? Have you reversed? How much per day? How much per week? How many clients do you need? Oh, fuck, I don't know. And then they say, oh, but I just listened to The Secret and it said if I wanted it, I just have to say it and I'll get it. Yeah, that's true. But if you don't, line it up with your purpose, line it up with a breakdown, and then action that plan, you'll never get it. You've got to reverse whatever you want in life, especially to the men. Women are a little bit more like they can set a goal, and like butterflies, they can spread their magic. But the business woman that Joanne's around will all be doing this in some way, shape, or form. Joanne will be doing it. Okay, this is the amount of clients I want. This is the amount of money I want to make, and this is how I'm going to do it. And then you've got to action that plan. And if you're struggling, figure out why, what's the block there. But still be rational in a world that requires some form of rationale. Now, that doesn't mean don't dream, but don't dream if you're not willing to put the work in to get the dream.
Yeah, I did a live today on Instagram. It was you want more love, abundance, joy in your life. Of course you do, but are you aligned with that energy? Because if you're not actually feeling your emotions, you're actually blocking yourself off from receiving anything by not feeling all your emotions. If you're blocking them down and running towards something else, then you've instantly put a block on receiving, because you're not in a receiving mode. So it's put yourself in this state of receiving so we can manifest, and then go out and take, as you say, take aligned action, which is in align with your soul, which is your feminine essence. It's the feminine, and then use the masculine to take the action.
And the actual feeling that everyone's looking for, the actual feeling of abundance, is love. But everyone's been conditioned that love's outside of themselves, and money, relationships, and other things, right? So when you strip away the actual frequencies that you're carrying, which is your shadow frequencies, guilt, shame, anger, fear, humiliation, you come back to your natural state of being as a human on this planet, which is love. You'll reveal your purpose, and your frequency is what you will frequently see. I say this all the time. If you're not seeing what you want, what you keep saying you want in your reality, look at what you're truly seeing, and it's a mirror of your internal state. And I will always say it will always be guilt and shame, humiliation, resentment, anger, and fear. And certain areas it may not be, but the areas that you're struggling to create what it is that you want to create, that's that unconscious template for you. You got to dissolve it, right? You can't create abundance. You can't get love, and you can't create abundance. And people will be going, fuck, this fella's cracked. Abundance is a frequency. Abundance is a frequency, and you attract abundance. You attract love. You attract the frequency of what you are. We're all manifesting. Here's a cool question for you. What is it that you're manifesting?
Everything in your life, baby, everything in your life. And it's attached to your frequency, as we know. So I mean, when you think about it like that, the steps to manifestation are: deal with your childhood wounds, feel to heal, feel your emotions on a daily basis, allow them to come up, allow them to move on. Know what the hell it is you want.
Yeah.
Feel the feeling of having that, whatever it is that you want. Is it a relationship? Is it money? Is it travel? Whatever it is, but how do you feel when you've got it? And then what's your soul telling you? How is your soul feeling? And then how are you going to take aligned action every day, even if it's a tiny little baby step in the right direction? Where are you going?
And for the men out there, feelings aren't facts. All right? Like, yeah, sure, there's a space and a time to go and feel and let go of your childhood shit. I'm all about it. But feelings aren't facts. Don't make the world responsible for your emotions, right? Own your shit, right? And this is what we're actually moving out of, is that childhood, that boy psychology. The more you dissolve your childhood programming and wounding, you start to realize that that voice in your head isn't facts. And you'll just keep showing up and you'll be responsible for your feelings and your emotions, and you'll take back your power. And that's what masculinity is.
Yeah. And when you do that, you're in the driver's seat of your life. You're not being chauffeured around by some crazy maniac driving. And it's powerful.
Yep. Some 5-year-old kid, part of you that's been controlling your life that you don't know is been controlling it, right?
Yeah.
5, 7, 9, all these different childhood programming jumping in the driver's seat, and dissolve it, get rid of it so you can step into your power and stop dying. Like, that's the thing, man. Most people are dying, their relationships are dying, and they're just in survival, and it takes courageous action, but it's worth it on the other side.
Yeah. I always say we're not just here for mediocre. You know, don't stop accepting mediocre. It's such a place to be. But you know, I think that's why people often have to hit rock bottom before they make change, because mediocre's safe. You know, I think mediocre's dangerous. That's the most dangerous place you can be in, because you don't really want to create change from that, because there's no oomph. Whereas when you go below it and you go, oh, this is uncomfortable, you go, well, you're striving to make change then. So ask yourself today, where's mediocre in my life? What is mediocre? What's in this area? It's neither amazing, it's neither totally shit. Where's because that'll be where you want to make changes.
And that's where you'll be addicted to living.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And that's where you probably have the most grumbles and complaints as well.
Sure, Joanne, for sure.
Oh, another 3 awesome questions. Thank you, everyone.
Absolute bangers. So, keep them coming. And if we haven't expanded or you want a different point of view, drop it in. Like, one of the things that even just asking a question on something that you're afraid, to ask is so free.
I think I might be losing you, Stacy. So I'm just going to say bye to everyone. Oh, he's back.
Yeah. See ya.
No, so we were getting a dodgy internet connection. So I'm just going to press start.